It was never a question of whether or not I was going to dance. It was who I was. So in some way, I was going to be a dancer, whether or not it was a dancer in a ballet company, or if I was going to try to go the Broadway route, or if I was, going to dance somewhere just locally and do something else on the side. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I knew that I had to dance. It was who I was. I am Sarah Harston Berkeley, and I am a former principal dancer and a dance educator. I joined Boston Ballet's school for a year after I graduated high school. I joined their school because I was really interested in Boston Ballet. And so I went to their school, and from there I joined their second company, which is called Boston Ballet 2. And then from there I joined Cincinnati Ballet. Boston had an audition for Cincinnati Ballet. Victoria Morgan was the director at the time, and she came to Boston to look at dancers, and I took the audition, and the rest is sort of history. I love dancing, of course. I love the movement. Of course, the music. I mean, the music really drives the movement. It drives the emotion that I feel when I'm dancing. But it was just this way of being able to express myself in all these different ways. I loved, especially towards the later part of my career when I was a lot more comfortable with who I was as a dancer, I really loved the large acting roles, but I really loved the evil characters. Those were the most fun. I loved playing Carabosse in Sleeping Beauty, and Queen of Hearts and Alice, and the stepmother in Cinderella I would also do the fairy godmother, but like deep down inside, I really enjoyed doing the evil stepmother. I think because they were so different than my personality, and I just got to go wild and crazy with it and over the top. I think it's just allowing you to give everything of yourself to something. It's diving deep inside of you and pulling out experiences that you have gone through to bring out onto the stage. And I do think that the audience sees that when it's truly authentic. I think that's why I encourage my students to make sure that they really have an outside life outside of ballet, outside of dance, outside of anything that they do, because those life experiences and that reality is what makes you a better artist, because you're really tapping into experiences that you have had. For my students, I recommend for them to constantly try to improve their dancing, improve their knowledge, especially this generation who has so much at their fingertips. Watch as much as you possibly can. Watch all dancers, not just dancers from one company. Watch all different companies. Watch contemporary companies. Watch very classical companies. Find all the different types of dancers out there right now that you're able to look at and learn from. But also research those dancers that have paved the way for you. And I think it's important to know who the great dancers were from the past, because they are the ones that have paved that way for all of us. To have that knowledge only makes you a better dancer. But I also would say too that a lot of the improvement for dancers does not always happen inside the studio. I encourage dancers to, especially nowadays, dancers, the dancer's body has changed so much. It used to be very, very specific. It is not like that anymore. The dance world is becoming open to so many different types of bodies, which is incredible and so much more interesting to see and so much more interesting to watch. So the athleticism of it has become way more important and exciting to see. So I encourage dancers to get out of the ballet studio and condition outside the studio, and to do the Pilates, do the gyrotonics, go to the gym and do some weights and things like that. That's where your body will get stronger, and the stronger you are, the better dancer you're going to be. I wish that I had allowed myself to relax with all of it, and to enjoy the moments a little bit more. I started to later on in my career, but especially when you're younger, you're wanting to be so perfect all the time and you're wanting to not make any mistakes. And I think as dancers, we feel this responsibility of not disappointing anybody. And that is something that I wish that I could have let go sooner, because once I did, I think I became a freer dancer. I definitely have experienced along the way many students who come to me and they don't want to mess up. And I have to, especially because of knowing how I was as a dancer, I have to make sure that I really instill in them that messing up and making a mistake and falling and all of those things are the only way that you're gonna learn. Because if you're so, rigid about not doing anything wrong, then you're not gonna make the improvement. So really allowing yourself to relax and to be okay with the things that you need to work on, and to allow yourself to be vulnerable to those things so that we can continue to push forward and continue to grow. I've actually recently come across a lot of dancers who have started a little bit later than what we view as being normal. I started ballet when I was 3, and typically I think that's what you find, is that a lot of times we start very, very young. I have actually worked quite a bit recently with some dancers that started when they were 16, 17. I don't think it's ever too late to start dancing. Dancers are dancing a lot later and they're getting jobs a lot later. So I think it is absolutely 100% okay for dancers to try to pursue this even if they start later. You might have to just ramp up on some of the things that you're doing, really get into a lot of classes, try to get really great advice from people who have had these careers, do the outside training, the outside conditioning. If there's someone out there that wants to start this in a later age, I say go for it. You never know. And even if it doesn't pan out for a professional career, it can open up doors for you in so many other ways, knowing that there are just so many different paths and so many avenues to get there, and really listening to people and opening your eyes up to every possibility you can.